Hello BookTube, my name is Elizabeth. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Bookies and Books. This video is a pile of possibilities for Garbaugust, which is an event created and hosted by Ollie from Criminally, as well as several other co-hosts. There are too many to name, so I'm just going to list them in the description box below. And I will leave a link to Ollie's announcement. So what is Garbaugust? It is an event celebrating trashy books, celebrating the junk food of books. So books that have been written and are sold and are read just for the fun of it. Nobody pretends that they have literary merit. Nobody pretends that you're going to come out of your reading with an elevated mind, that you will have learned something. Well, maybe you will, but it's going to be completely accessory. The point is to have fun. And there are themes for the week, there are group reads, and there's a bingo card. So this is my pile of possibilities. As I said, chances are I will not read many of these books because that's the way it goes on my channel. I present a pile of possibilities and then I read something else. It always happens, always. So here is the books that I'm not going to read. You can call them that. Anyway, so pile of possibilities. So first, the group read. There are two. So one of them is more horror and the other one is what in Britain is called a bunk buster. And it is Rivals by Jilly Cooper. And I've started it. I've read 4 chapters as of filming this. So I'm on page 51 of that particular edition, which I bought at a used bookstore, so I did not pay much for it. And if I have not read it by the end of the month, it goes out of the house. It means that I'm not that interested in it. If it was shorter, it's almost guaranteed I would read it, but it's like 750 pages. That's a lot of garbage. I'm going to give it, so far, after 4 chapters of 10 pages each, it's not bad. It's fun, but I'm not completely hooked in. Like, I could just never pick the book up again and I wouldn't mind that much. But I'm going to give it until page 100. And if I still feel the same after another 50 pages, and it's a 50 pages that's going to take about an hour to read. It's not going to take like 3 hours. And I say an hour, I'm being generous. It might be a bit faster than that. Anyway, so I'm going to give it like another hour of read and then see if I'm hooked. If I'm not hooked, then that's going to be that. But so far it's not bad. Okay, so that's like the group read. So the themed reads, they are the weeks. The first one is Anything Goes. The second week is shock value, and I looked at what I had, and shock value I have this, which I picked from my father's bookcase, which is Fanny Hill by, who's the author? John Cleland's Memoirs of a Woman of Pleasure. And that book was banned for hundreds of years. So it says, this and only this is the complete $6 Putnam edition. Well, duh. Making today's headlines. Okay. So a nationwide bestseller at $6, and it is 95 cents. After 214 years of suppression. So that book was from the 18th century, and well, Memoirs of a Woman of Pleasure. It's going to be interesting to see how racy it is compared to today's modern romances, or even Regency romance or whatever. We are very, very tolerant of sexy scenes nowadays, so I don't know how shocking it will be. It's not very long. It's about 227 pages, including the appendix. There's an appendix. Is there an introduction with that? Yes, there is an introduction. so it's garbage, but that comes with all the accessories of a highbrow literature. So I'm curious about that one. So that would be for shock value, because if it was shocked into suppression for 214 years, I suppose it is very shocking. Then the third week, if I remember correctly, is cozy. So anything that is cozy. So for that, I have a cozy murder mystery. It is Murder Always Barks Twice by Jennifer Hawkins. And this is not a killer animal. This is a talking animal, which I think is 100 times more garbage than a killer animal. A dog who actually talks. who speaks English, not just woof woof, who speaks English. Come on, that is going to be very garbagey, I think. And this is another one, if I haven't read it before the end of the month, I think it's going to be out of the house, because yeah, if I don't read it now, when will I ever read it? And the third week is, I forgot the name, but it's something like End of the World or World Coming to an End, Armageddon. And I have nothing about that. I'm not very much about the end of the world. However, I decided that perhaps maybe it could be the occasion to read The Meg by Steve Alten. Now a major motion picture from Warner Brothers. I didn't know that, and I don't really care. So this is about a giant megalodon, so a primitive shark that is like 20 times the size, well, more than 20 times according to the cover. There's like 50 times the size of a regular shark. Maybe. It's not too long. It's about 300 pages with like not too packed pages. That should read relatively well, so that's a possibility. So that one is from the library, so if I haven't read it by the end of the month, it goes back to the library. And the other books, I have 4 other books that are possibilities, and these ones go with the bingo card. So one of the prompts on the bingo card is to read, it's not how, I think it says topical, so I think it's kind of the equivalent of the moral panics. So publishers banking on what is scaring people at that particular time and place. And I have another book that I picked from my father's library, which is Baby Peddler. And what makes me think that it fits the prompt is this little subtitle, not subtitle, but like sales pitch. The desperate story of girls in trouble. So I figured that in the 1950s, unwanted pregnancies were a real scare, a real social panic, the proof that society is going like to the devil, or I don't know what. I forgot to mention the author. It is Albert L. Quant. And the book was 35 cents at the time, and it was published in do I have a date? 1953, so copyright 1953. All the names and characters described in this book are fictitious and have no reference to any living person. This book was especially written for Original Novels, Inc. and has never appeared elsewhere. Printed in the United States of America. So that's Black Market for Souls, Young Lives for Sale. Oh my God. Yeah, moral panic, babies for sale. Oh, that's awful. Then there's another prompt that says nonfiction. Okay, what is nonfiction garbage? There's the nonfiction that is garbage by the topic. Like the topic itself is considered a bit trash. I think, I don't know, aliens like extraterrestrials, or Sasquatch like Bigfoot. Perhaps you can count astrology in there if you are somewhat interested in it but don't believe in it at all, because if you believe in it, then it's not good trash, it becomes bad trash, and things like that. But why would I go out of my way to read that? I'm not going to do that. Another type, well, is celebrity memoir. There's a square in the bingo card just for that, so that's not going to count. And I decided to go with this. This is a book that I found in a little free library while I was walking my little dog, and it is Unruly: The Ridiculous History of England's Kings and Queens by David Mitchell. So this is a celebrity author. So David Mitchell is not a historian, he's a comedian on British TV. Well, on British TV, I saw him on YouTube on TV, but I don't know if he does, like, I don't know about his career. All that I know is that I saw him often on QI, the quiz show, comedy show, mix of quiz and comedy, hosted by Stephen Fry first and then Sandy Toksvig. I don't know if all the episodes are on YouTube, but there's several of them, and David Mitchell is quite funny. And I also saw the author David Mitchell being interviewed on various history podcasts when the book came out. So there's one where he's interviewed by Dan Snow on History Hit. And the reason I say that this is garbage is that this was written for the jokes first, and then information comes second. If you read the sources at the end, what does it say? Sources. Acknowledgement. Is it acknowledged? No, it's sources. Wait. Further reading. Sorry, it's called further reading. At this point, I'd probably recommend a thriller, really. So already you can see this was written for the jokes and not so much for the information. Or a whodunit. Maybe even a graphic novel. You know, for a bit of variety. You must feel up to your ears in history, but that's not the form in these sections. They tend to work more like Amazon algorithm. Seeing as you just bought gardening gloves, perhaps you'd be interested in these gardening gloves. So if you would like to continue reading on a similar theme, here are some books that were helpful and enjoyable to me and that you would probably enjoy too, even if they contain some of the same information as the book you've just read. And then follows a list of titles. So obviously this is meant to be light reading. This is meant to be entertainment first, information if any second. So that's why I decided this was perfect for Garbaugust and for the non-fiction square of the bingo card. And it could also fit celebrity novel by a celebrity. It's not a novel, it's non-fiction, but I'm pretty sure that David Mitchell got the contract to write this because he was already famous, and not because it's not the other way around. If I was coming up with the idea of writing a book about, I don't know, not necessarily the kings and queens of England, but let's say the prime ministers of Canada, and make it very, very funny, and I came to a publisher with that, okay, perhaps maybe I would get published, but I would not be interviewed by Dan Snow on the history hit. I mean, it would not happen. So the publicity that the book got was because the author was famous and not necessarily because it's a serious work of history. So that would fit that square. And then there's also a mysterious square. Well, at least I think it's mysterious. It is called Not Even a Book. What is a book that's not even a book? And I thought, oh, I know where to find a book that is not even a book. It is in the non-fiction section, and it is books with loads of pictures like this. We Rate Dogs by Matt Nelson, and I've already read it, if I can call it that. So this is a collection of Instagram posts. So it's not a book. It's a book in the sense that it fits the definition of the material object. But the content is not a book. The content, it's cute pictures of dogs with a cute little comment on the side. And there was a dog. This dog is named Ollie. So this is not our Ollie that we know from Criminally, because this Ollie is a snob. It says he's an intellectual. Whatever you're saying clearly doesn't interest him. Itching to get back to calculating how many treats could stick to the outside of a tennis ball if it were covered in peanut butter. So that's the type of content you have. It also works for the square non-killer animal. It was just so much fun. It was adorable. And then in the same section, not so much about dogs, there was something similar about cats. Now this one is even less of a book than the previous one. So the previous one was a collection of Instagram posts. At least I know what it is. This is a notch further in significance. What did people do before there was Instagram, before there was Twitter or whatever it's called now, or TikTok? How did people express their very profound thoughts at a time where there was the electronic means to create a meme? So there was the electronic means to create an image with a sentence that was supposed to reflect your very deep thoughts, and there was no social media to post it. What happened was that at some point somebody grouped these images that they had caught from blogs or websites here and there and put them together in a PowerPoint with very tin can artificial music, and then somebody at your workplace would send the PowerPoint to everyone in the business. It always happened. It did. If you don't remember the time of the useless PowerPoint circulating at work, you are young. Because it was not that long ago. It was about 12 years ago, 15 years ago, just before social media caught on, people could create memes and they could not keep it to themselves, so they had to publish it to the world, and it came in the form of a PowerPoint, and that you couldn't really answer, "This is so stupid," because it was a colleague who sent it. And yeah, I laugh at these PowerPoints. I still remember one that was so silly because they were convinced there were profound truths in that PowerPoint. It was a have you noticed kind of thing. And it was a form of question and answer. So you had a question on one slide and then the answer on the next slide. And one of the questions was, what is the only vegetable that never comes transformed? And the answer was lettuce. And it's just not true, because you can buy lettuce as a transformed product when it's already washed and cut and just ready to serve as salad, and you add some stuff to make a salad of it. And also there is lettuce soup. It exists. It's just not very common, but well, not common. It's not popular in our culture, but it exists. So it's just not true that it's the only vegetable that is never transformed. It's ridiculous. And there was a whole bunch of them like that, like all these questions and answers. Either they were very obvious or they were not true. So anyway, this is similar. So this is about cats. So we have a picture of a cat next to a quote, a profound thought about cats, supposedly by, I don't know if it's famous people or not, and we have a grand total of 0 sources at the end. So that person, whoever they are, they may or may not have said that about a cat. And if they said it about a cat, it was definitely not about this cat. But it doesn't matter, because this is meant to be just, oh, total feel good, total feel good trash. There Are No Ordinary Cats by Colette. I know Colette, she's an author. I have a few of her books, so you probably can't see it. They're just right there. But did she ever say that about cats? I have no idea. The cat does not negotiate with the mouse. Okay, the quote illustrates rather well this. It is by Robert K. Massey, another author who wrote biographies of Catherine the Great, Peter the Great, who wrote a big book that I have on my TBR, so that means on the other side of this wall, on the arms race between Germany and England before World War I. So it's called Dreadnought. So a very serious author who apparently wrote one sentence about a cat, and it's in this book. Oh, so you're supposed to go aw. That's the point of the book. You just go aw all the time. Maybe not. That one's a bit more scary. Oh, so that one must be that must be the cover of a historical novel featuring cats, because historical novels, we know, must have characters viewed from the back on the cover. It's a law. Anyway, so that's it. That's the last book on my pile of possibilities for Garbaugust. I think I'm going to focus on Jilly Cooper at the moment, try to make some headway in it, and then I'll move on to the others, even if some of the others will leave the house relatively soon. So anyway, so that's it. That's my pile of possibilities for Garbaugust. So thank you everyone for watching. I will see you in the next video. À la prochaine!